So first of all, you have to learn some of the terminologies, that's the special terms used in this class. Statistics, as you know, that is you should turn off your mobile phone. And this class is often called P-STEP in America. P means probability and STEP means statistics. So for this class, we're going to go over some of the basic first, and then it will be left to the teaching assistant to schedule a different time for you to practice problems and also ask questions whatever you have. Any questions so far? So far, so good. Okay. Now, this is the textbook we're going to use. Okay. I already ordered them from the bookstore. So if you need these textbooks, you should call your representative of your class and get to the bookstore to order the books. And then let me tell you who I am. Of course, I don't think you would ever need to use my English name, but this is my Chinese name. And if you have any question, of course, you can contact me. So the extension is 3122, and the email is DERYUAN. So for whatever questions you have, you can call me or email me. And also, I got an answer machine. So if I'm not in the office, you can leave a message on my telephone so that I can contact you. And the office hour is Wednesday from 1:30 to 3:30. Probably you have class at this time, but don't worry about it. We can schedule a different time to discuss whatever concerns or whatever questions you have. So, and by the way, the only person required to speak English is me, is not you. So, if you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to speak in Mandarin. Any questions so far? And I try to slow down in my speech, so hopefully you can catch up. And so far we haven't got any special terms in statistics. It is only I, you, this class, this hour, numbers. Hopefully you got it. Any questions? No questions? Sometimes no question is good, but sometimes it's the other way around. So, anyway. So if you don't have any more questions, or, you can raise your questions at any time. You don't have to wait until a break or whatever. If you have any questions, just raise your hand. Okay, so now we want to go over the materials we're going to cover this semester. Of course, we are talking about statistics. There are two parts of statistics. One is called descriptive and the other called differential. And basically, statistics is about data. You got to have data to say something. And of course, sometimes the presentation of the data may be quite confusing. So, to a certain extent, first you have to learn how to present the data. Present means to offer you and to show you something. And so oftentimes we use tables and figures. Okay, tables and figures are often used in statistics. The most often time, the most usual type of presentation would be bar chart. And sometimes we have pie chart. Chart also means figures, okay, chart. Or sometimes we say diagrams. And of course, so let us say when you took the entrance exam of this school, of course you want to know where you stand, right? So let us say if you got English, say the score is 90, this absolute score of course makes sense in some way, but what you really care about is that how much higher you are than the other people, right? So sometimes you need to have this kind of diagram to help you. So if you look at the score, okay, if you look at the score, can anyone tell me what means score in Chinese? Yeah, you got it right. Okay, so score is important, right? But you know, it really matters. What really matters is that how much ahead you stand in front of other people, right? So that's ranking, okay? Anyway, these are all the basic things. We won't get to details about it. And then we need to know what types of data you're dealing with. So some kind of data can be used for computation. That is, you can calculate. To add them, to subtract them, to divide them, to multiply them. Sometimes you don't. Okay, so let me give you some, some tips of understanding my English. Oftentimes, how you gonna pronounce this word? So it's your turn. How you gonna pronounce that word? Pronounce. Pronounce means speak up. Then, that's not quite correct. It should be read as them. Okay, so I say calculate them. It means calculate them. But you have to be familiar with my English tone and accent. It is them, okay? By the way, data is a plural. Data is a plural. So whatever you mention, you must say they, okay? Anyway, there's several types of data. The first one, let us say nominal. So to enhance, to better your understanding of this class, you need to read the book ahead of time. So preview is very important. Preview is very important, okay? If you don't read a book and whenever I mention something in the book you haven't read it, it will be very hard for you to understand it, okay? So preview the book. By the way, you have a choice, okay? Last year, this class was taught in Mandarin. this year is taught in English. So you have the choice not to take it. But I encourage you to take it, especially if you can get a good score here. So if later on you got a job and you need to have some distinction from others, that is to show how you are different from other people, I can write a recommendation letter for you telling other people, your potential employers, that you have taken statistics in English and performed quite well. So that's one of the advantages you're going to have. So by the way, you're going to get used to what my English you get. So sometimes we say, you are going to have, and I say, you're going to have. So as time goes by, I will speak faster. That is to improve your listening comprehension. So if you take TOEFL, that's test of English as a foreign language, there are 3 parts. One part is listening comprehension. And it is very important that you understand the speech, the conversation at normal speed, not the way English studio classroom, that's too slow, okay? And oftentimes I listen to CNN, CBS, and BBC, all these news programs online, and I encourage you to do so. Okay, nominal, and then the other one is ordinal, and then interval, and then ratio. So these things are all in the book, okay? These things are all in the book. What means nominal? Oftentimes when we want to know some basic identity of people, say sex. In this case, we only have male or female or 0 and 1. So in this case, really, if you're going to take these 2 numbers and divide them by 2, say there is 1 male in this class and 1 female in this class, and so there is going to be 1, 0 and 1, 1. And if you add them together and divide it by 2, you get 1/2, right? That's 0.5. What do you get? 0.5 doesn't make sense at all, because all these kind of data cannot be computed, because when it is computed, it doesn't make sense. And then we're going to have ratio data. That's the oftentimes the data we are talking about, say stock prices, okay, and your weight, your height. So if I weight say 50 kilograms and another person weigh 100 kilograms, okay, kilograms is kg, right? And so if I weigh 50 kg and the other one 100 kg, you know exactly that guy is twice the amount of weight that I have, right? So sometimes the data can be computed, sometimes not. And let us say what's the ordinal. Oftentimes you may get a survey, say how satisfied you are about the products, okay? And they may have a ranking, say, from 1 to 5. 5 is very satisfied, 4 is more or less satisfied, 3 is indifferent, that he doesn't think this is good or bad, okay? And then this is not satisfied and very unsatisfied. So in this case, there is an order here from low to high. But does it mean that if I am very satisfied and the other person is not very satisfied, then I am 5 times more satisfied than the other people? No, it is not the case, okay? You are not able to tell exactly how much more you are satisfied than the other people, but generally you know this is better and this is worse, okay? So sometimes you have different kinds of data to deal with, and this is about descriptive statistics. And also the presentation, the tables, the figures, how to do, how to make diagrams, okay, how to draw a general outline of the data. So these are something you have to learn for the first few weeks, okay? And of course, when you get data, you need to collect all those data, right? And then how to present it. Then you have to make a decision. Sometimes the data are complicated, sometimes not. And it all depends on the types of data that how you want to organize them. Any questions so far? I have seen many confusing faces. So one thing that you don't need to worry about it is that even if you don't understand it, we will put the materials on the web. And we will give you the website so that even if you can't understand what's going on in class, you want to pay as much as you can your attention to this class. And if you don't quite understand what's going on here, you have a chance to rewind and replay. Okay? You can rewind, replay millions of times. Any questions so far? No. Okay? So let's continue. Okay, so we oftentimes look at data, and what are we interested in? We are interested in two things. One is central tendency, and the other one, so you will ask yourself, on average, okay, on average, how much are you going to get from this class, right? And on average, how tall are people? And on average, how much do people weigh? What's their weight? And what's about the size, okay? It's the size of their waist. All these things are very important. For example, now when you get clothes, okay, oftentimes they are ready-made. Okay, they are ready-made. They are not custom-made. And so, you know, when you get to department store, you want to get a clothes to fit you. What's the probability that you can get one that fit exactly your size? Of course, all the manufacturers, they have to have statistics. Okay, they have to study the weight, the height, and the sizes of people, so that when they make M, okay, when they make S, or when they make L, okay, the small size, medium size, large size, right? When they make these type of clothes, according to the size, then they know how many people they're going to fit. And of course, you're going to know, when you get to department store, oftentimes there are some sizes that are hard to find, right? So if you are much bigger than the other people or much smaller than the other people, then you know you will have more difficulty to find your clothes. So why? Because the manufacturers know. They study people, okay? The size, the weight, the height, etc. So they know the central tendency on average. If they're going to make a small size clothes, okay, how big it's going to be? It should be, okay? And M, L, that's the same thing. Of course, now then we get to dispersion, okay? Dispersion, that means how different it should be from S to M, okay? Because you have S, M, L, right? But then, how much should be the difference between S and M, M and L, L and XL, okay? All these things, it depends on this. And in terms of statistics, the jargon is, this one is what we call mean, and this one is what we call variance. Okay? And of course, the other term for variance is we call standard deviation. two are the same thing. Okay, basically these two are the same thing. Can anyone tell me what's the difference between variance and standard deviation? Do you know the difference between variance and standard deviation? No, okay. Variance, let us put it this way. Okay. Standard deviation is called sigma, okay? Sigma is equal to square root of variance. Okay, so that's the relationship. So this is just to encourage you to preview the book, okay? Preview the book. Otherwise, if you get here, and especially I'm speaking English, right? And if you haven't read anything about the book, it will be even harder for you to understand what I'm talking about. So, anyway. Let's continue. Mean, we have two things, okay? We have sample and we have population. When we mention sample, of course, is not just something out of the whole thing, okay? Something out of the whole thing. So let us say we want to study the students of this school, okay? So then all of the students of this school will be population, okay? Population means the size of the people, okay? But in this case, it is not, okay? It means something else. That means the whole thing we want to study. And sample is just part of the whole thing that we study. So for example, if we want to study the students of this school, so all of the students of this school will be population. And let us say this class is just a partial, a part of the school, of the student population. So then it is a sample. Why these two things are important? Because, as you may know, if we want to study all of the students, it will be harder because there are several thousand people. So it would be better that if we can only study a portion of that population, that is the sample, and then we can get the whole idea of this school, then it will be better. Why? First, we talk about two types of study. One is called survey, and the other one is called census. Okay? Census means you study the whole thing. That is, you study the population. You have a complete investigation of the whole population. That is called census. Let me put down the Mandarin here. Okay, and here that's sometimes we have this we call sampling. That means this. Okay, so there are several issues here. Why we study sample instead of population oftentimes? That's what we do. Because it is much more expensive to study the population. And sometimes it is very difficult. And oftentimes it may be even impossible. Okay, sometimes it may be impossible to do a census. For example, if we want to know the length, okay, how long? If we want to know how long a light bulb lasts, what is a light bulb? Your turn. What's a light bulb? What's a light bulb? Okay. If you want to know how long a light bulb lasts, of course, the only way to know that is to turn it on, right? And use a timer to see how long it lasts. But, you know, at the end of the experiment or at the end of the survey, what will happen to the light bulb? It's gone, right? Because that's the only way you know how long it's going to last. From the first moment to when it went out. Okay? But for the manufacturers, what are they going to do? They need to make a profit from selling those light bulbs, right? And if they conducted such kind of experiment and destroy the light bulbs, will they be able to sell any light bulbs? No, right? So sometimes it is impossible, sometimes it's costly. And the most important reason is that after we study statistics, we will learn some theories. As a matter of fact, if you just take some sample out of the population and study the properties of the sample, you would be able to infer the whole population, okay? So you can infer the population from the sample. So this is the part we call inferential statistics, okay? And that's the most important part of this class. Okay, now let's get to more details of this class. So after we talk about basic properties of the descriptive statistics and a little bit on the inferential statistics, then we will talk about the theory. First, we will talk about probability. Okay, probability is very important. For whatever we have on statistics, it is built on probability. But since this is a very short class, we only have 3 hours each week, so we will try our best to talk about it, you know, the essence of it, the basics of it, and then we will move on to some other things. And of course, in this case, you will need to know set theory, okay? You will need to know set. So something about A intersect B, A union B, all this kind of stuff you need to know. Okay? So after this, we will study some basic distributions, okay? So that's probability distributions. There are some distributions that we oftentimes use. For example, uniform distribution, binomial distribution, and horizontal distribution, and many others. And these distributions are also divided into 2 types. One is called continuous, one is called discrete. One means continuous. So if it rains continuously, you know it rains on and on and on. So continuous means there is no breaks, okay, there's no breaks. And discrete means there is breaks. But in terms of statistics, it's very easy. So for those numbers, you look at integers. All those things will be discrete type. So for example, when you count people, you say 1 person, 2 persons, 3 persons, and etc., right? Oftentimes you may hear that some people say 1.5 person, but as a matter of fact, it doesn't make much sense then. It is only when in some circumstances that we save it, but oftentimes we count 1 people, 2 people, right? And for continuous type, basically that means it has decimal points. What means decimal points? So let us say, how much do you weight? Maybe say 65.5 kg, right? So with these decimal points, okay? So basically the difference is very clear. And then we will talk about one very important distribution that you will focus on almost for all your whole class. That is normal distribution. So normal distribution is kind of phenomenon quite prevalent. You can see oftentimes in our society or in nature. So for example, as you know, there are very few tall people, right? Those people that are extremely tall, say about 200 cm, okay? They are very few. Also, you know that there are very few short people, say below 140 cm. And oftentimes people are just in between. So if you look at the diagram, it should be very familiar to you. Okay, the diagram looks like this. So I have been teaching for several years, and it is true that those with high score, okay, those get very high score is quite few. Of course, those get low score is also very few. And most people, it is in this region, okay, so this is normal distribution. And there are some theories built upon this kind of phenomenon. And one is called central limit theory. And even in a lot of exams, entrance exams to the master program, oftentimes this kind of question will be there. It is called so what does this say? This says that, you know, when you observe something, and the more you observe, the closer you will be to the true population. So if you observe samples out of the population, of course, you will see only a part of the population. But suppose the sample gets bigger and bigger, then you can get to the true picture of the population. That's the reason you can say something, you can infer something from the properties of the sample to the properties of the population. And later on, we're going to talk about more, because, as you know, we want to know something about the population, but what we get is only the sample. So in this case, we need to get some estimates, okay? So you need to estimate, and how you gonna estimate? That's a very big question. So we have some theories tell you how to do a correct estimate, okay? And that's unbiased. Your estimate must bias, okay? And of course, your estimate has to be also efficient. And generally, you need to follow some rules to get to the desired result. And also, because we talk about sample, right? So you need to learn the techniques of sampling. Sometimes you know that you're going to get phone calls from some people saying, what's your opinion, what's your idea about this candidate, that candidate, or that product or this product, okay? Sampling is very important, but you need to be very careful because not all sampling is correct, okay? You have to learn the correct ones. Those correct ones, and only those correct ones, can you infer from the sample to the population. Okay, so there are some sampling techniques that you will learn in this class. And after that, you need to know something more because in this case, some people may say something about their products, and you want to make sure that if that is true or not. So that's what we call hypothesis test. So let us say, bottle of water, right? So each bottle of water oftentimes contains about 600 cc of water, okay? So suppose the volume of the bottled water is also a normal distribution like that, and of course you expect that the mean, okay, the average would be 600 cc, right? But if you take out any bottled water from a supermarket, it may vary, okay? It may not be exactly 600 cc. So let us say you get a bottle from 7-Eleven, okay? And what you get is 598 cc. So because on the bottle it says that it has 600 cc, right? But what you get is actually 598. So there is 2 cc short. So in this case, do you want to believe it is exactly 600 cc? Sometimes there is a discrepancy, so there is a variance, right? There's a variance. So if it is this low, say 598, right? Do you want to believe it? Okay? And let us say if even lower, say 590. Do you want to believe that the manufacturer is right? Say the bottle contains actually 600 cc. It really depends, okay? Our theory will tell you with the certain probability confidence that you can say it is true or not. So in this case, you want to test it, okay? You want to test it, whether it is correct or not, okay? So you will learn the methods and the techniques and the theories to test whether someone's claim is right or wrong. And of course, sometimes you need to test several samples or several populations together. So in that case, you need to have some other kind of techniques that is called ANOVA. ANOVA is the short form of analysis of variance, okay? Analysis of variance. And this is also a very important part in statistics. And oftentimes, some master programs, the entrance exam, they have these kind of questions. And after this ANOVA, we're going to talk about regression. Regression, I don't know whether we will be able to cover it or not, but I'll try my best to discuss some points of it. Regression, we have 2 types. One is single variable one is probably if you have taken economics, especially macroeconomics, then you will know consumption function. There are several kinds of consumption function. We will talk about CAMS. That's absolute income consumption function. You know, consumption is a function of disposable income. Why little d is disposable income? As you may know, if you have higher income, then your consumption will be higher. And how do we know this kind of relationship? It is because when you run a regression, you know such kind of relationship exists. Okay? Of course, there are some theories behind this kind of model. Okay? And of course, if we have time, we will discuss some of the models. And as you may know, the consumption is affected not just by disposable income. Oftentimes, it also affected by interest rate. Okay, if interest rate is higher, the consumption may be lower. The interest rate is lower. If the interest rate is lower, then the consumption will be higher. So there are some theories behind this. Okay, so actually, consumption is affected by. Okay, so let us say this is A1, okay, 1 and A2, R, and R is the interest rate. And of course, if you are more wealthy than other people, your consumption will be higher. So there are some other factors like wealth, okay? In any case, this will be probably about the materials we will discuss in this class. This semester. Any questions so far? Someone has fallen asleep. Sound sleeper, okay? Anyway, any more questions? Later on, the teaching assistant will be here to discuss with you for a time that you can practice problems, okay? You have 1 extra hour. And also, he will set up office hour where you can have consultation. If you have any questions, you can go to his office to ask questions. And of course, you can come to my office hour too. Up to this point, any questions? No questions? Okay, so since now, we won't go through 3 hours, okay? So let me briefly talk about something in Mandarin, and then the teaching assistant will be in charge. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, probably you can turn off the camera.